Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is Aether from the server of Morpheus. I am a 5.3k Abolisher and plate. So let's go ahead and start this up. The first things you're going to want, triple slash and charge, self-explanatory, those are just staples of any build. Bond breaker, this is going to remove all snared, slowed, launched, lassitude, and telekinesis from the caster. Also makes you immune for 5 seconds, so pop it proactively. Side note, also decreases melee and physical damage received. Very good for defensive purposes. Precision strike, bread and butter, does a lot of damage, we're happy. Battle focus, everyone should be in there, releases tension apparently. Decreases the skill cooldowns, increases your parry rate by 30%, increases melee crit damage. Basically you hit harder, you take less damage, you get more resets. Tiger strike, guaranteed hit on whoever you're attacking, cannot be evaded, blocked, or parried. Hits up to 5 enemies, hits for just about 3k every time. Great ability. Side note, you will zip around and lose control of your character, so be prepared for that. You should try and get back on your target as soon as it ends. Behind enemy lines, really great skill here. I see a lot of people not spec this. Basically what happens is you teleport to the place you're zoning in, or you click on, you do a lot of damage, you slow down your target. This is a point and aim skill. It's a skill shot, so get used to hitting with it. Moving on to passives, we have a dual wield proficiency. Ignore the first part, the only important part is the melee crit rate, plus 8%. The passive skill, attack speed training. What this does, it decreases your battle skill cooldown by 10% and gives you delirium. Now what delirium is every time you crit, you gain more crit chance and more crit damage, stacks up to 5 times. So it snowballs. Now deflect and retaliate, permanently increases your parry rate. Every successful parry resets all your battle rage skills. For example, if you're attacking someone, you parry, you get your Tiger Strike back. You parry right after the Tiger Strike, you can do it again. Very important skill. Right here. Most important skill here. Now, Reckless Charge is something I choose to spec, but is not necessary. It gives you a gap closer, it lets you ride healers more, makes you more mobile, and we are a very slow class, so I suggest this. But this is my optional point in this build. You can move it to lasso if the situation arises where you need lasso. Puncture, this is not negotiable, you need that. It just makes you do more damage on whoever you're riding, whatever healer, they take more damage from you. Now this is a point I feel strongly about, 15% more damage, you're not going to find that anywhere else, take weapon mastery. Now points that you should not be speccing in Battle Rage under any circumstance. Right here, Sun to Earth, do not spec this, it's slow, it telegraphs, and it's easily dodged. So it has a long animation, a cast time, it's not worth it, too easy to dodge, does a lot of damage, don't get me wrong, but it's just not worth it. Whirlwind Slash, I'm not a fan of it, the animation's too long, they are buffing this in 2.5, so it may be reevaluated at that point. Now this is a good skill, Frenzy. If you're facing a lot of mages, maybe one-on-one arenas, go ahead and switch from Reckless Charge to Frenzy. Now Frenzy gives you more every time you receive melee and magic, you get more damage. Also receives 21% of all. So every time you're hit, you do more damage, you take less magic damage, but you receive a lot more physical, so do not use this on a Dark Runner. You will die. It stuns you after 4 seconds, by the way, so careful with that. So after 35 seconds, stuns you for 4. My apologies. Now defense, we have Shield Slam. It stuns them, does damage. We'll come back to synergies here in just a moment. Refreshment, this gives you more health. It gives you something called metal every time you receive damage. We'll come back to that here in just a few. Now Bull Rush. This hits someone, it's basically a better version of Shield Slam. It silences them, and it does a lot of damage. It consumes your metal for bonus damage. We'll come back to what metal is at the end of the video here and how to use it. Boastful Roar, it uses metal as well. It decreases healing received and does some damage to them. Very important. Toughen, gives you health per second. This skill doesn't matter that much, except the fact every time you receive damage, you gain additional metal. Revitalizing Cheer, it heals you and it gives you, basically it's just a self-heal that goes off the amount of metal you have stacked. And it's a self-heal. What else do we need? We're a tank. Everyone should have this. Readout. One of the most important points here because it gives you 38% more block rate and decreases movement speed by 10%, so it makes it slower. Prevents being pushed or tripped. This does make you trip immune, which is great. Also grants you metal when you use it. So, moving on. Fortress. An ability I firmly believe everyone should have spec'd. How I choose to play, because I do world PvP and naval combat. Do a lot of pirating. Shoves everyone away that are enemies 10 meters. So you can shove people off ships. If someone's attacking your healer, you go to that healer and you push them away and you open up on the guy who is riding your healer. It's great for peels. It's great for combat. It also stops summon Wraith and abilities like that where they're channeling. It'll push them away and cancel it. Moving on to supplemental block. This is my point that I feel can be moved to invincibility if that's how you prefer to play. Block rate plus 18% for 5 seconds after a good block. Great for more damage mitigation. Shield's Edge has a small chance to stun the enemy, and it's a very small chance, mind you, when blocking a melee attack. If triggered too often, it will be disabled. Keep in mind, this will give them stun immunity if it stuns them over 3 times in, I think it's 30 seconds. So keep that in mind. If you stun too often, they will be immune to it. Further up, we have Bear's Vigor. Gives you max health, increases the effectiveness of your refreshment, which of course is this one. So you get more health. And your Toughen, which of course gives you more healing per second. It ends up to be like about 27 health per second, which isn't too bad. Now going on to Ornamency, we have Conversion Shield. Every time you take damage from a magic effect when this is going on, you receive 42% of the damage you receive back as health. So it basically just means you're not going to take much damage, which is good. Teleportation, I believe this should firmly be spec'd. I have it keybound to wheel mouse up because I feel like that's the best keybind for it. Teleports you 15 meters ahead. We're a slow class both in the head and in the game, so you definitely need that skill. Shrug It Off. It cancels stun and impale effects, grants immunity to stun them for 5 seconds, and decreases the magic damage you take by 50%. Pardon my guilty there, he's just messing around. So moving on to Dual Wield Proficient. Oh, my apologies, that is the entire Oromancy build. So we're going to go over some synergies. If you use Charge, followed by Triple Slash, it trips the opponent. Same thing here, this inflicts a snare, so if you use Triple Slash on this, so if you use Behind Enemy Lines followed by Triple Slash, it will of course trip your target. That's basically it for the synergies here. Remember, every time you parry, it will reset all of these cooldowns, so keep that in mind. Moving on to defense synergies. Shield Slam followed by a Bull Rush will inflict a trip and a lot more damage. Very important there, so it's Shield Slam, Bull Rush, every time. 1, 2. There's not much synergies in between these, so I'm going to take a moment to explain what exactly metal is. Every time you receive 1 point of damage, if you're spec'd like how I am, you receive 2 stacks of metal. So for example, if I take 1.5 thousand health of damage, I get 3,000 metal. Now keep in mind that is the cap right now, which is changing in 2.5. You only have 3,000 metal at a time, so you use the following abilities to spend it. Boastful Roar does damage. Revitalizing Cheer heals you. Bull Rush does a lot of damage when you consume metal with it. Okay, so the priority for spending this should always be Bull Rush before Boastful Roar for damage. Boastful Roar is great, but more importantly, Bull Rush. Revitalizing Cheer is your self-heal. I use it all the time because I'm always being focused. So whenever it's off cooldown, go ahead and use it. Now let's move on to Conversion Shield. This has synergy with 2 abilities here. Now, it triggers something called Magic Shield, if I recall. Energy Shield. So if you pop Conversion Shield followed by Shield Slam, you would do 61% more damage. As soon as Shield Slam ends, you go ahead and use Bull Rush, and you would do 68% more damage on that. So, on your Bull Rush, it's going to do 68% more because you're still under Energy Shield, and 42% more because you're going to get stunned from Shield Slam. Alright, so that's the synergy there. Moving on to another synergy, we have Shrug It Off. Now when Shrug It Off is in effect, you will heal 50% more on your Revitalizing Cheer, and 60% more damage will come out of your Boastful Roar. Now Liberation. This, when you have a readout up from the defense tree, you will trigger something called Magic Shield. So let me go and show you my magic defense without any cooldowns on is 38%. I pop readout, followed by Liberation. Takes me up to 50% from 38. Really is a great synergy there. Great for surviving against mages and their lockdowns. Now, there are some points here that I believe are good mentioning. For example, if you want to move Supplemental Block to Leech, Leech is great for one-on-one. It is terrible in group combat unless you have a coordinated group, because anyone Tiger Striking or even looking at the enemy wrong can go ahead and just take that sleep off. But it is a good point to have for one-on-one. Moving on to the gear. There are two different ways to build Abolisher, plate or leather. I firmly believe in plate. It gives you more damage mitigation, more survivability, but leather gives you more damage. So mitigation versus damage, pick your poison there. I went with plate. Now it should be noted that plate is a lot more expensive to be viable in. As you can see, I'm rocking the full divine plate, which gives me a 2.5% damage mitigation buff, as well as a parry and block at 3.2%. So you mitigate more damage, you live longer. Now starting at the top, I believe in the Annihilator's Helm, which is a tier 4 obsidian. You get strength, stamina, and melee attack. Now I'm going to go on all my inventory items, I'm going to go over their Luna Frost, Luna Gems, and Tempering. Now on this, you want the Stealth Detection Luna Frost from the Honor Shop. You're going to want Magic Defense Luna Gems. Unless you're a hero, you can get Toughness Gems in that. And of course, temper your physical. On the Conviction Curious, which is what I use on my chest, I went with Conviction over Annihilators for obviously the parry rate. Now, Toughness is the preferred Luna Frost here, and Resilience being the Luna Gems. The Toughness Luna Frost decreases your damage taken by about 3.1%, which makes it better than the flat 3% from, of course, the same place, the Honor Shop. Bear in mind, everything on this item is from the Honor Shop, minus the tempering. Coming up to the waist here, we have Scarlet Reaper Tassets. You can run a Furium Flame, Delphinite Flame, whatever you can afford. This one's probably the cheapest to get. Gives you pure strength. Most important part here is the fact that it actually gives you Luna Gems that you can socket to be from Revitalizing Cheer. For example, I'm adding 1.6 thousand extra healing to my Revitalizing Cheer, which of course, if you remember, is the ability that is your self-heal. Gives you more self-heal. You cannot put these gems on Aurora gear. You just cannot, the game will not let you. So bear that in mind. Use a non-Aurora waist, the best you can afford there. Moving on to bracers. I firmly believe that everyone should have honor bracers. I blew mine up. Makes me sad, but if you have the honor bracers, push them to Celestial or Divine, use those. Alternatively, if you can't, do what I did, got some Swordbrand Van bracers for the cooldown reduction on Bull Rush, the equip effect shown at the bottom of the tooltip. Throw on the 9 Luna Frost for strength or stamina, and socket the Luna Gem, and of course temper the item. And moving on to my gloves here. I went with the Annihilators for more damage because I'm already tanky. I don't need to run Conviction. Now, there is a perfectly fine option called the Conviction Gloves, tier 4 as well. They give you more block rate. It's up to you. I went with more damage because I'm already tanky enough. So I was trying to cover my soft spot here. So, on Luna Frost, you want melee crit damage from the Honor Shop. Then you're going to craft it 3% parry gem, as many of those as you can afford. And then 1.5% melee parry rate from the Guild Shop. Parry rate is life, it keeps you alive, gives you more damage because remember, every time you parry, resets your cooldowns. Moving on to my cloak. I'm currently wearing the Epherium cloak from Hero. This is not best in slot. Best in slot is from the Prestige Shop. You will need to join a level 5 guild. Pick up the Epherium Twin-Tail Cloak. It's going to give you block and parry rate. Now, plus 60k honor when you get this to Divine, you will go ahead and get 1.2 magic defense, which covers your soft spot in your defenses. Very important to have as well. Now, on the cloak, you should see the Luna Stone I have on there. Increases strength plus 4 every attack, stacking up to 5 times. Increases all attacks plus 3. As long as you're riding targets, you're going to get an additional 20 strength and 3 attack. Definitely worth having. Alright, moving on to pants here. I went with the Annihilators, the same choice, more strength, more damage. Luna Frost, you want the toughest Luna Frost, and then all the toughest Luna Gems you can afford in there. Makes you more tanky, and of course temper as well. The reason I went with Annihilators, it gives magic defense, which of course is covering my weak defense, my weaker defense. Moving on to boots here. Now this is something you can definitely swap. I want to start with saying it is tempered. It gives you more strength and stamina, which of course gives you more damage. Now keep in mind, I currently have this enchanted wrong with the Lunafrost. You're going to want the 300 toughness Lunafrost on here, not the focus. Luna gems, fill them up with as much movement speed as you can afford. Pretty simple there, self-explanatory. Now the reason I went with Annihilators as opposed to Conviction, which gives magic defense, is I felt I had enough magic defense. This is depending on the server. There are not many mages in Morpheus right now. I'm in fact trying to find a few for my guild. That's a side point. We have a lot more melee, so physical defense is definitely more important at this point. Magic defense is a soft cap for me. It's great to have, but I'm not really worrying about it anymore. Moving on to necklace, everyone should be running the Proven Warrior, whatever rank you can get, at least rank 6 of course. It gives you flat damage reduction, gives you more health, and a bubble. Go ahead and spec, always grab that, always. Moving on to earrings, you should always use Gale earrings. Illustrious is what I went with, because I don't believe in paying 500 more gold for 0.1% more parry. I don't believe in that. I don't think it's good use of my gold. Now, parry rate is the most important thing here. The agility is a mez stack. It's just a dump stat. That doesn't matter. The parry rate is great here. Currently getting almost 4% parry rate. Very important there. Moving on to rings. We're going to go ahead and go with the Gale rings, or of course the ring from Serpentis. Either one is fine. You should ideally have one of each. I'm a little too lazy to run Serpentis that much and do my quests, so I'm currently sitting with Gale rings. They of course ignore defense, which is great. They give more of the agility dump stat, but that does increase your crit chance, so kind of give and take there. Moving on to weapon choice, I chose to go with the short spear. Temperate, melee skill damage, 2% increase for the Lunafrost, full focus gems. Now there are two different ways you can go with the Abolisher. You can go sword or spear. Every time you hit with a spear, it has a small proc chance to ignore all their armor and give you true damage. Now with the sword, their proc chances every time you receive a melee or a ranged hit, you have a chance to parry it, which of course resets cooldowns, which is great. Short spear does more damage. It also has healing power. The healing power plus 565 is very important. That's why I like it. It makes my revitalizing cheer more viable. Now the sword is just as good, but it won't be in 2.5 because they're nerfing how often you can reset your skills. So I'm already sitting at a lot of times in combat. I'm already waiting for the hidden cooldown on parry and deflect and retaliate to come up. So a sword is just gonna redline that faster. So I truly believe short spear is the way to go here. Sword is viable, but less damage, less survivability, and in 2.5 it won't matter at all. Moving on to shields, you should go with the version 2 Obsidian Shield, called the Mystic Ward. This is tier 4 at the very least. You're going to want to go ahead and get the 2% block rate Lunafrost from a crafter, and then socket it full of as much shield block rate as you can afford. I suggest starting with the 2%, and then as you can afford, do the rest as 1% from the guild shop. Now let's go and read that combo effect. After being hit by a magic crit attack, consumes all your stacked metal, restore your health up to 50% of the lost metal. Has a 30-second cooldown. So if you're getting locked out by a mage and they crit on you, you're going to get a little self-heal there. Moving on to the bow. You're going to want to go with any stat stick you feel comfortable with. I chose to go with the Cursed Obsidian because it's just stamina. Does not matter. Nothing matters here. It's just a stat stick. Throw some melee attack gems. Don't even worry about tempering it. Loot. I choose to go with the magic defense over the honor ones because magic defense is of course covering my weaker defense here. Melee attack, defense penetration, both those are acceptable. Lunafrost, there's not much you can really do there. Now keep in mind that is subject to change. It could add more of those later. But right now the major thing is just go ahead and get it up to at least a tier 3 or tier 2. Get some more magic defense in there, and make sure you don't go with the flute. Glider should be the Sloth Glider. No, I don't like how he looks. He's creepy. I would image it over a different glider on him. but the ability to land vertically in PvP is without equal, except the red dragon, but we haven't got any kills here. So, just to recap, I went with plate. I went with everything annihilators except for my chest, which is of course conviction. I went with Gale earrings, Gale rings, a short spear, tier 4 obsidian, or even tier 1. It's all the same stuff there. Tier 4 version 2 shield gives you a lot of magic defense, 1.9 thousand. That's the lion's share of my magic defense in one item. Now a stat stick doesn't matter. I like the cursed obsidian because it gives stamina, which is health. The loot, which is magic defense, the obsidian loot to be more specific. So that basically covers everything there is to cover about this class, how I'm spec'd, how I'm built. If you guys like the video, feel free to, of course, like, comment, subscribe. Anything you guys do is appreciated. And if anyone wants a video of me going through exactly how to play the class, how to do it in PvP, go ahead and send me a message or just leave a comment down below. You guys have a wonderful new year.